Now, when we're talking about setbacks, are we talking setbacks from the house that the person who's lending the land, or are we talking setbacks from the neighbor? Because it seems to me if somebody decides to put up something on their own property, what do we care how close to their own house they put it?
Yeah, well, there are two regulations on that. We have regulations for both situations. The 1,500 feet from a property line is from people who aren't participating. We also have a regulation that says that the turbine must be 1,000 feet from a dwelling of a participant. So if that turbine is on your property, you having one on your property, you still, our regulation says you still must stay back 1,000 feet.
Okay.
And whether that's right or wrong or not, I guess, everybody has their own opinions on that.
Right, that's for neighbors to decide.
Yeah.
And what about sound? Is there an issue that you're hearing about sound?
Well, we have differing opinions as to what is an acceptable sound level.
Okay.
Okay. And so there is information out there. If you go online or get technical reports, some organizations will say you should not be exposed to anything beyond, I'll say 30 dBA. Okay, which is the level that's used to determine how much of an impact that has on the human body, okay, or the ears. And other ones say no, 50 dBA is acceptable. Mm-hmm. So different groups have come up with different suggestions. The county has used a standard that is 45. Let me check this out here. Make sure I get my figures. Yeah, 45 dBA at the dwelling.
Okay.
And then 51 dBA at the property line. So those are the standards that Whitley County has established, that any turbine, however far away, 1,500 feet or greater, if they have to, they cannot exceed that noise level at a non-participant's property line.
Okay, and a dBA stands for
decibels, and the A is kind of the scale that is used that is associated with the human ear.
Okay, and then what about just regular farm sounds? If someone lived next to a pig farm or a cow farm, what's how loud would one of those be? So we have something to relate it to. It's
tractors. I'm not sure about farm equipment. Certainly, at times there are sounds that will occur that far exceed that. Okay. Mm-hmm. I don't know, 100 dBA maybe for like a loud motorcycle going by, or some kind of a lawnmower, adjacent to your yard. It's really difficult. A normal office, to give you a comparison, normal business office is around 50 dBA. Okay,
got it. Now, is there anything in ordinance that protects the rights or covers legalities if there's a problem between the person who's lending his land and the person he's going into a contract with having something on their land? For instance, if there's a dispute between the two, is there any insurance for our citizens in the county that they have rights that are going to be upheld?
The only thing that we have in the ordinance, we've tried to stay out of the private arrangement. Okay,
that's what I was wondering.
We tried to stay out of that, and really, I don't believe that's any business. As far as the contract between a wind company and a leaseholder. Mm-hmm. Okay, but we do have a provision in our ordinance that if there is a problem, let's say, or a conflict that can't be resolved, at least people can call our office and we can investigate it. Okay. And say, yes, you do have a problem with your satellite dish. Mm-hmm. Somehow you believe that the turbine is interfering with some communication.
Right.
There's a provision in the ordinance where they can call us and we can try to resolve that.
And in Northeast Indiana, in this county, it's a very Republican area, and that just seems like the very Republican thing to have the government say, look, whatever financial deal you get into with somebody else, it sounds like government just trying to keep their hands off of their free enterprise on their land. Am I interpreting it that correctly?
I don't know that that's a government involvement anyway.
Right.
And it certainly isn't something that I guess our department would be involved in. And I try to keep my focus just on what I can be involved with.
Right, and I think that seemed to be the biggest problem coming out of this, was that a lot of people were not feeling like there was enough oversight, and I just felt like, it seems like what they're doing is trying to say, look, you're allowed to go into a free enterprise on your land with X amount, whoever it is you want to have on there. And that, if I understood, that's all the ordinance really is. Little details about that. But everyone else is complaining that they don't want wind turbines, and it becomes a real partisan type conversation. Well,
it certainly has become very, very partisan. But I guess from a zoning standpoint, again, the ordinance that our office administers, we've had a history, and that's what zoning is for, is to try to look at land uses that can be out there, and this is a land use, right? Albeit a big one, and it's out there, you can't miss it, as opposed to say an industrial facility or any other land use. What we try to do is have regulations that establish, if somebody wants to do this use, what is the procedure, what process do you have to go through, what regulations do you have to go through, and to sort of minimize the impacts, if there are any potential negative impacts from this use, to the enjoyment of other people's property. So that, if there is something that we can look at that we ought to take some control over, or at least try to manage, that's the purpose for zoning, as a rule. I will say, though, that this ordinance and dealing with wind turbines has gotten us into more detail and more specification than anything I've ever worked with in 37 years.
Yeah, the people are demanding it for some reason, and
yes,
one part it's like, oh, it's so neat to see everybody out there so involved and concerned about their neighbor's health and this and that, and the other part of me is thinking, wow, I wonder if they put in that much effort if it was for something a little more Republican-like, like drilling for oil or putting in a nuclear plant. I can only hope that the people, investigate their neighbor's health and looking out for each other under those circumstances too. Well
said.
Oh, thank you very much. What is the where are you guys getting your technical information about wind turbines? Everybody shows up with what they think is a problem, and they have a laundry list of websites. Where are we officially getting our understanding of how to figure this out?
Well, we've tried not to become experts and know all of the technical details of the turbine aspect. And basically the zoning regulations just deal pretty much in general and only go into the specifics as much as we have to. And again, I think we've tried to follow other counties' leads in coming up with these regulations. Okay, we have had information submitted over the last 2 years from all kinds of people. We've had input. I don't know if you're familiar with this, but we even commissioned a study by a private consultant.
Oh, okay.
It took 6 months and had a private consultant go into, and we all brought in input to him, and he researched it and brought together a paper and presented that said, we're completely divided on this issue, and we can't make a recommendation. It is very difficult, but we have tried to get all of the technical information that's at least that's within reason, let's say.
Right. Now, there's a lot of problems. I'm sure you're constantly hearing concerns. Are there without getting into any harebrained concerns or anything, are there concerns that are legitimate that are covered in the ordinance that you would like to direct people to?
Well, I believe that everything that we're necessarily involved with is in the ordinance.
Okay.
Now, yes, there are lots of concerns about wind turbine companies in general, wind power in general, the country's energy policy, and all kinds of other issues that have been expressed, but we have not tried to get involved with that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, this is again just an ordinance,
okay.
and that's all that we've been doing. What got this really confused is a company came in and started signing up people for a project, and it got confused. People thought that the ordinance was being put in place to approve a project.
Right.
And it's not the case. It never was the case. And this regulation is the same as if we were having, say, an industrial zone district regulations for some place like SDI.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so just because we have an industrial district doesn't mean that we are approving any particular project or company or business.
Right.
This regulation is for anybody that would come in and covers things in general.
Okay, so wrapping it up, to what level does the ordinance change or get voted down because of outside pressure or because people don't want it? What change can they make? Or is it something that you guys just have the final say, and no matter what anybody else thinks, you still get to pass it?
As I said, the Plan Commission made a recommendation. We've sent it on to the county commissioners. They will be considering this. They have several different options they can do. They can approve it as is. Mm-hmm. They can recommend changes to it.
Okay.
Or they can say, we don't like it at all, and completely say, we're not going to approve anything.
Okay.
If they make any changes or they say, we don't like it, they reject it, it would have to go back to the Plan Commission for their reconsideration, and then back to the county commissioners.
It seems to me that the planning and building are getting a lot of flack from the community, when at the end of the day they need to be talking to their county council members.
The county commissioners are the ones that have the final say. I would agree, yes.
Okay. And when will that be voted upon? Do we have an idea?
Sometime, my guess is sometime either in May or June, but they have not established a absolute date as to when that will be heard. But the commissioners' agendas are always in the paper, and it's posted at the county government center. Okay.
And is there a place that somebody can go if they want to learn more details about the ordinance or read
Yes.
the ordinance or anything like that?
Yes, we have posted the ordinance on our website at whitleygov.com.
Okay.
At the Planning and Building Department site. It would be posted under the Whitley County Plan Commission site.
Okay. Well, I thank you very much for taking the time, and you have a good evening.
Yep, you're welcome. Same to you.
David. Take care.